So it's interesting regardless. But let's talk about 2025, man. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm curious to hear right off the bat, what are some things that you're excited about going into the new year and things that are top of mind for you?
beautiful, mate. I think it's actually perfect the word you use, the creative side, because the creative side, everyone, is not images and videos. It's intellectual creativity. It's
Hmm.
strategic creativity. It's data creativity. So the stuff that we're already talking about, that's our version of creativity. It's not just like this because the AIs and the algorithms will only be based on the inputs. And if you put generic creative inputs in, being it intellectual creativity, you'll get generic outputs. So yeah, look, 2025. It's interesting because I haven't consciously sat down and written down the vision, but this is what's already happening in my company. Number one, I'm spending more time speaking to clients and less time in the ad accounts because I've got the team to do more of it. I'm
Hmm.
still in ad accounts. I still know all the data. I think that's just part of me. So I'm not worried about losing that because it's just like, I'm so naturally data driven. I was playing like cards with someone yesterday and it was like a new game and I was winning all the time because I could just like remember the cards and stuff. I'm like, sometimes you just have natural skills around numbers and data and remembering data that you just don't need to make sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses on that stuff.
Hmm.
So a big thing this year moving forward is really more business, the getting deeper with the business and identifying where specifically the gaps are, and
Hmm.
then using data analysis and the data in the ad platforms and creative thinking to bridge the gaps.
Hmm.
It's more of what I'm doing, but with more simplification and less distraction.
Yeah.
So not getting caught up in like random conversations every day here and there about random thing in ad accounts. It's like,
Yeah.
no, what's the bigger picture? What's the outcome of the business? Where's their problem? And what do we need to do to bridge that rather than be like, oh, this ROAS is down here. Like, I just can't, like, it's just more about saying no to just like low level thinking and worrying about shit that's not important.
Yeah.
Like, it's that definitely education with my team around data analysis. A big
Hmm.
thing my team's been asking about is like, hey, how can we get as good as you with like this data analysis stuff? I'm like, it's just like easy. You just do some spreadsheets and you know a few concepts and like, dude, this ain't easy. I'm like, oh yeah, true. Like this is a me thing.
You
And
forget,
then I had
yeah.
someone on LinkedIn, a guy called Joey, who's like he's a good Google Ads dude. He was asking me about a Google Ads doing like a data analysis or like a this type of stuff course, and I was telling you about that, Cory,
Hmm.
and I was like, I might seriously consider that, not to actually put out publicly, but to actually refine my own thinking around this, because I will find out where my gaps are in my education myself. And I've been asking a few people I really respect around data analysis, like, yeah, what are the things that you use? Because I these are my two little. This is just my. I went from six figures to seven figures by just getting really good at Google Sheets. Now you can't sell it, but the ability of leveraging data to get better insights, to get better results, but to reduce your time and stuff means that you can manage more accounts with more ease and less effort.
Hmm.
But then also layered that in with better communication skills. It just amplified everything. So I'm going to be doubling down on my data analysis this year, blended with communication and client intelligence side. More delegation to the team, just so I'm less involved with the day to day stuff, like really letting go of control, as some would say,
Hmm.
and just staying up with it. Like, and not with Google Ads, but like the trends of the markets. The markets are shifting. Very interestingly, we've over this year, because of the AI boom, we've had a few clients come on who are AI companies, software companies, crypto companies, crypto hedge fund companies, like really these new type of emerging industries that
Hmm.
are extremely lucrative, extremely market leading, no pun intended, higher market lead, and just staying up to trend of what are the strategies that are going to work for these emerging markets, because crypto isn't going everywhere, AI is not going anywhere, software is not going anywhere, and just staying excited around it, because these old things are like working with plumbers and shit like that. Bro, that ain't me. That's boring. It's low ticket. I just want to be in industries that are making millions of dollars, millions, and just like helping them make that and being on the journey with them and just staying excited and staying on the forefront and just, yeah, that's that. That's me.
Have you? This is a kind of random question, but I was curious because you're a lot more in the lead gen side than I am. Have you
Yeah.
seen any any companies that have really come out as being leaders in the lead generation attribution side? Because I feel like that is still a major struggle,
Nah,
and I
dude.
haven't found anything yet that I'm really happy with.
Honestly, that's why you've just come back to simplicity. You've got to run the ads yourself and have good UTMs on them, like dynamic UTMs, quite standard. A landing page that you run and control. So you're sending traffic to a landing page with a good offer. So you're incentivizing people to submit their information earlier on. Make sure the landing page captures all the UTM strings and then do the attribution yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to a lot of these bigger, like these attribution companies for e-commerce, asking if they do it for lead generation. They either say no or we're working on it. But you're right.
Yeah.
And it's a different beast. And I can understand why it's not a high priority because people aren't screaming for it. E-commerce, people are screaming for attribution,
Mm-hmm.
but lead generation, they're not. That's why this year, when I'm talking about all this work that we've been doing, it's basically that, but it's more from like a very using UTM strings, landing page data, all that stuff. And it's still pretty powerful. It's still really powerful. It's just not as multi-channel type of attribution, but even still with like e-commerce, I still kind of like, I don't know how accurate that is. I feel like it sends more of a direction rather than accuracy from my experience. What are your thoughts on that from the lead generation perspective? Like, have you looked for anything or like you just think that it's actually a big gap?
I think it's a really big gap. I do agree that some of your best things that you can do internally, especially if you don't have any data scientists hanging around, is going to be UTM parameter tracking, your
Yeah.
CRM integrations, especially if you use like a Salesforce or a
Yeah.
HubSpot, getting that, going through that very arduous process of getting that integrated with the Google Ads ecosystem if you do Google Ads. Um, think you've got like webhooks. It's like real time
Yeah.
lead data to your attribution database. I don't know if that makes sense to most people. And then just your normal event tracking, right, through Google Tag Manager and
Yeah.
what have you. But as far as the tools and softwares, that's what I said. I still haven't found something I'm super happy with. For as like a third party option. So I don't know. I'm still looking. I'm really hoping that people can
Right.
come out
I'm
of the
going to tell
woodwork
you,
and someone can solve that issue.
Google Sheets and UTMs can make you do a lot of shit. Maybe as
Yeah.
some may say, black hat stuff. I wouldn't never do that. You can actually do a lot of deep data stuff with UTM strings, pushing into a spreadsheet, Google Tag Manager. There's a lot of stuff you can do. A lot of stuff.
Talking like
People
hashed
don't realize it.
identifiers? Is that what you mean?
No,
ML,
but
that kind of
I've
thing?
done that before with Google Tag Manager. There's a lot of
Okay.
stuff you can do. Google
Okay.
Tag, like, it is ridiculous. I don't think people actually understand the data abuse you can do with just Google Tag Manager by itself.
Mm.
It is wild. You can
Yeah.
launch scripts that literally will do, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I haven't even done it. But I just think creatively, I'm like, oh, you could do that. You could do that. You know, you can
Mm.
screen record people's sessions with like all their data in it. You can like do the cache or session visits, like measure that they've actually been before. It's like I just don't think people really understand it. And then companies just like give agencies like admin access to it. You could be like scraping people's credit card details off that shit.
Mm.
There's literally that
Yeah.
you can't like you just do like data layers and it'll just like screen captures and stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
I haven't done that yet, but that's how I think.
Well, I do hope that with all these LLMs that are getting more sophisticated, so the ChatGPTs, Perplexities, what have you, the Claudes or whatever, I do think that more people have accessibility to creating their own internal systems as opposed to
Yeah,
leaning
dude.
on third party tools. So I do hope that we see more sort of cross device, sort of omni channel attribution that's self built, that just relies on your own data. You don't have to
Yeah,
give this proprietary information, like all of your profit information, to these companies. Not that I'm completely against it. Obviously you need something, right? And
yeah,
sometimes it's better just to delegate it to a software or a tool that charges you and it is what it is, then just
yeah,
build it out yourself. But I do hope that people are getting better at cross-device attribution, omni-channel attribution, also incrementality testing. I do feel
Yeah,
like this has always been like a little comment section in a post where someone's like, but what's the incremental lift? And I feel like a lot of people talk about it, but you don't really see people getting into the weeds
yeah,
as much. So I do hope that that's also something with the accessibility of these LLMs, be able to educate people a little bit more on like, how can we do that? How can we build like a little tool
yeah,
internally that helps us to judge incrementality and attribution, and also lead quality scoring. I do feel like that
yep,
has really been slept on for a long time, rather than just taking whatever value you've sort of manually put in there into Google Ads or Google Tag Manager, whatever, for a lead, or then backfilling it later. Some kind of predictive lead quality scoring, I hope, is going to become more accessible to people with these tools, where you can essentially just weight the attribution based on the lead quality, that's coming in, instead of just pure lead volume or backfilling. So
yeah.
anyway, just a couple of thoughts, a little more
No, look,
technical.
I actually that's what we're already doing, like lead scoring or lead
Mhm.
temperature. And a lot of it, it's a two-part system. Number one, you've got to start asking more qualifying questions rather than just like name, email, phone number.
Yeah.
You've got to ask people. What we do is ask them like in a B2B context, we ask them, what industry are you from, and making sure there's always a answer that it's like, I'm an individual or hobbyist. So that way you can actually go, look, I'm actually targeting people in the industries that I want versus normies. And then asking a few other qualifying questions. So then you at least know on the front end from a um, it is qualitative, but like it's more just like the person's like the self-elected quantitative qualitative work. And then when the salesperson goes through the call, then they go, look, this lead is legit. It's a warm, medium, or hot. They're quoted them or not quoted them. So then based on those different variables, then a lead score can come out. It's all kind of very simple. You don't have to feed that back into the account because a lot of the time the volume of that data is so small at the start that it won't be, the Google Click ID and all that stuff. It just won't be as powerful. But it's more for your own sentiment offline, knowing that, hey, are we moving in the right direction or not? And I think you're right. Like that lead scoring stuff, you can do it. Once again, you've got to have the skills to creatively think, how can I do this?
Yeah.
And that's what we do with like our Google Ads or ads channels to lead page with the UTMs and all the data pushing into a spreadsheet. Then we do all the advanced analysis,
Mhm.
which will then give us the insights towards, is this a qualified lead or not?
Yeah.
Before even the agent says something, or the sales agents, because a lazy sales agent will always say the leads are shit. So you've got to make sure that you're actually making sure that the leads are good quality
Yeah.
before you even get their feedback on it.
Yeah. It's as old as time. The marketer blames the sales team blames the marketing team when things aren't going well. It's the
Yeah,
circle of
mate. It
life.
actually is so, yeah.